Hey, how you doing? Today we're stepping out of the studio so that we can lose all feeling in our fingers. It's absolutely Baltic here in Derby, but I'm going to be talking about this, the Canon R6 Mark I, and the top 3 hacks that I use with me at every single wedding. So today we're filming this little video here where we talk about the top 3 hacks that I use at every single wedding on the Canon R6 Mark I. We're also going back to the studio. We've got a couple of films lined up for the Complete Wedding Photographer's course. So we're going to be filming a little bit around the logistics of destination weddings, along with actually shooting a destination wedding and what goes into that process. But for now, I just thought we'd step outside, get a few shots of the mills and the studio, and just get some air in the lungs before we go and sit in the studio and tell you about these top 3 hacks. Just doesn't quite get any easier, does it? But you know, I'm really trying hard here, like talking to camera outside of the studio on the fly. It doesn't come easily to me. So thank you very much for tolerating my awkwardness. It's amazing how doing something like this though, like just gives you a newfound level of respect for anyone who presents and just makes it look effortless. But that's the process, right? What's this, like video 7? I've got some way to go. Okay, so this camera, the Canon R6 Mark I, not the Mark II. Go check out that video if you want, why I'm not upgrading to the Mark II. I won't go into that here, but one of the very common questions that comes up from photographers asking about this camera is, how much better is it than the DSLRs? And my answer is a lot. It's a lot better. But to give you an idea of what I mean, the best way I can kind of describe it is by, let's say you've got a spec'd out Nissan Qashqai. It's a good solid car, right? It will serve you well and do the job. But then one day, just out of the blue, you decide to upgrade to an Audi Q5. It's a similar car. It's got 4 wheels. It moves forward and backwards. But it's just got something more. Like, you can't necessarily put your finger on it. But you do know that you wouldn't want to go back to the Qashqai. It's kind of like that. For me, I could still shoot on the Canon 5D Mark IV and do a good job. But give me the R6 and it's hard to imagine going back to those DSLRs. It just allows me to achieve the image I want in a much more confident and efficient way. What I mean by that is, if I had the Mark III or IV, I'd have to work harder and shoot contingency to get the desired result. With the R6, it doesn't miss. Well, very, very rarely does it miss a beat. Focus is fast and accurate, but with eye tracking and a few hacks that I'm going to talk about in this video, it's remarkably efficient, which in turn gives you confidence to shoot in difficult situations. It also means you can get the shot and move on to the next scene, space or moment very quickly. Whereas before, on the Mark III or IV, I'd probably refocus the same scene, burst another dozen frames, like just to make sure that I had a usable image from that sequence. So Sam, what are these hacks that you speak of? Well, take a seat, my friend, get your camera if you have the R6, get a brew, that's British for tea by the way, it's not beer. You can get a beer though if you like, it's always 6 o'clock somewhere in the world, right? Anyway, let me show you what I mean. So these 3 little hacks are 3 setup tricks that I use at every single wedding, like religiously. There are probably another 5 or 6 things that I use, but these are the ones that I just couldn't live without now. They're absolutely embedded into the way I shoot and work at a wedding. And if you tried to take them away from me, I'd get very upset. First up, number 1. And please don't get angry with me here, but this only applies to you if you have the control ring adapter or an RF lens. Because the most commonly used hack that is a total game changer to the way I shoot is mapping ISO to the control ring. So on the new RF lenses and the control ring adapter, Canon have added an extra wheel that just rotates around the barrel of the lens, much like the focus wheel does. But you can map this to anything you like. And for me, that's ISO. I've tried auto ISO on these cameras, it works okay. It's, you know, it's not great, but it worked, and I just wasn't entirely convinced. This, however, holy mother of God, can you say that on YouTube? You're allowed to. Well, whatever. It's terrifyingly brilliant. Like, how on earth did it take until 2021 for this to become a thing? Does Nikon or Sony have it? Do they have it? I don't know. Anyway, it is remarkable. And combined with an EVF, which is just showing me a real-time exposure through the viewfinder, I am constantly adjusting this wheel to help expose the frame in real time. I couldn't live without it now. If they ever remove this feature, I'll fight someone for it. Seriously, try this now and tell me it's not one of the best things about this camera. Go on, give it a shot. Told you so. Okay, next up, I want to address eye tracking. Now, this isn't one of the hacks because it's kind of standard now that if you shoot weddings and you're on the R6, you have the option to add eye tracking to the back button. So, just for context, I have two back buttons. One is auto eye tracking, the other is classic back button focus. So it focuses on the focus point I've selected from the screen. Now, this second hack is another super quick fix for when you're shooting and just need that hard reset. You know how it is. You're shooting, the focus point has moved around, you've gone portrait, then back to landscape, then before you know it, the focus point is in the top right corner of the screen and your couple are, yeah, you guessed it, they're not in the top right corner, they're in the middle. Great. Well, it's not an issue anymore. Center point of the wheel, this little thing here, is mapped to a command that returns focus point to the center. Magic. So it doesn't matter where you are, you could be upside down and the focus point is on the left edge, tap the center button, focus is back in the middle. You know, you could just touch the back of the screen, but if you're like me and have thumbs that can never seem to find the absolute center of the screen, combined with also having a bit of OCD because it needs to be in the exact center of the screen. Calm down, Sam. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. It's okay. It's just a button. Okay, last but not least. And this could be seen as a little bit boring compared to the other two, but this is still hugely valuable for me. One of people's common gripes with the R6 is battery life. We're all shooting live view now. The screen consumes that battery life, and before you know it, you're needing 14 batteries to shoot a wedding. And these little blocks of energy, they don't come cheap, do they? So it might be boring, this one, but it can save you. And again, it's a feature that I use all the time. This little button here, you know, the one on the front that no one ever really uses. It's called the depth of field preview button. Like, what even is that? I don't know. I really don't. Well, it doesn't matter because I've changed it. Instead, it's been mapped to eco mode. So, during quieter parts of the day, such as groom, bride prep, or during songs in the ceremony, or just when it's coffee hour before the party kicks off, I'll press that and it goes into eco mode, which just stops the screens draining the battery and puts them into sleep mode after a short period of time. So, not a huge one, but if I use that throughout the day and during the quieter times, I can shoot a full wedding on 4 to 6 batteries instead of, say, 10 to 12. And that's it, my top 3 hacks for the Canon R6. Job done, bosh. What do you use? Let me know in the comments below if you have a setup or hack that you couldn't live without. And if you appreciate the advice here, give us some love, yeah? Or you could just subscribe, I don't know. I don't like to ask, but it's YouTube, you know, and you kind of got to ask. Right, it's that awkward part of the video where you just got to wrap it up, but you don't know how to. This is, you hang up. No, you hang up, go on, no, you press the red button. Okay, I'll do it. Right, I was just about to hit publish on this video, and then I realised that I was missing one key element of the video, which is showing you how you make those changes or how you map those buttons or those dials to those commands. So it's dead easy. I just thought I'd do a quick ad hoc video, stick it on the end so that if you need to know how to do it, it's here for you. So if we just jump back to the back of the camera, so you go into menu and you're looking for the orange menu number 3, and we're going to go into customize buttons. And as you scroll down, look, we're just moving to the ones that you need. So we've got depth of field preview button is set to eco mode. You can put whatever you want in here, but mine's eco. And again, the set button is set to set AF point to center. And then again, if we just go back and we go into customize dials, this is where you find the control ring. So control ring is set to ISO or whatever you want it to be. But for me, ISO. That's it, job done. Hey, look, you know, these YouTube videos aren't perfect, they're not super polished. Sometimes you've just got to make it up and just add a little bit in at the end of the video, even though you're about to publish it, and you should have just thought of that at the start of the process rather than at the very end before you hit publish. See ya.